"Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men..." Oh, there goes another perfectly good intro. We've got cheese coming out of our Terran player. Make that double cheese. Zerg's 12 pooling. We'll have to get right to our intros. For the Terran, we have xKawaiian. And for Zerg, it is Starkiller. Terran has taken advantage of the short rest distance on Zen. He's looking to drop a proxy barracks. That is not a hidden location. That is an immediate send your Marines now location. A second SCV comes in right behind it. Starkiller's very first Overlord is going to see this right away. And it's going to be double racks. This is an all-in or near all-in maneuver for the Terran, but the 12 pool is just about complete. Starkiller dispatches a drone to attack the building SCV. Every second he can delay that racks from completion is a huge victory for the Zerg. xKawaiian's forced to pull his SCV off. He doesn't know a Ling horde is coming, confident that his second barracks is going to go up. Spawning pool completes, and 6 Lings go immediately into production. Meanwhile, there are no military units in production for the Terran. xKawaiian's proxy has actually made Starkiller's attack easier for him. Terran is bringing up a replacement SCV to finish the production on that barracks. Lings are here! Starkiller starts a second hatch at his natural. xKawaiian sees the Lings. They are going straight for his base. He desperately needs a wall up at home. Terran cancels his unfinished barracks. He immediately starts producing a Marine at his second. That retreating SCV is like, "Guys, they're coming! They're coming!" Starkiller won't waste a second to kill that SCV. He wants the main. xKawaiian starts a bunker rush on the natural, but I think that ship has sailed. He has begun a tight depot wall. That wall with their steel slashing claws. A hapless SCV is trapped on the wrong side of the wall. He's gonna get... That's a first blood, but the Lings are inside! The wall is down! Terran's trying to start a bunker in his main, but he has to cancel it. A lone Marine is going to work on that natural, but this game will be over before he cuts through that. The SCV is using the drone drill technique to try to stay alive. If they give the Lings any surface area, they will be cut down. But the Terran mining has dropped to 0. All 8 of Starkiller's Lings have run of the Terran base. xKawaiian tries to flee, and then he throws down the GG. Starkiller is the winner of Game 1. And that currently holds the record as the fastest game ever shown on this channel. I could probably replay the entire game faster than it would take to analyze it. In short, a non-hidden proxy rush by Terran actually facilitates a 12 pool and makes it easier for the Zerg. I know nobody likes to hear this, but although fun to watch, this was really a rock, scissor, paper type win. xKawaiian gambled and lost. But he'll be back! It's a best of 3, which means we're ready for...
Game 2.
Hopefully this time the players will hold off on the cheese long enough for me to actually tell you who they are. Both our players are American, both are on pro teams, and both are ranked, though not as highly as we're used to seeing on this august channel. For example, our Terran player is in the top 200 of the world. He is xKawaiian. He's facing a top 100 player in the world. Our Zerg is Starkiller. Hopefully he fares better than the structure he was named after. Once we go outside the top 100, the stats of ranking become less meaningful because a single victory can give you such a big swing. Not to take anything away from these guys, they are hardened pros, but when you compare them to the WCS regulars, they're essentially unknown quantities. But that doesn't mean they're not going to bring me an awesome game. It's not a 12 pool, it's a 17 hatch before pool. This has all the potential of a macro game. xKawaiian's sending off an early SCV scout. If he's unprepared for the next Zerg rush, he's going to be an xKawaiian. And here comes the standard timing for the Zerg first gas followed by spawning pool. Starkiller plays for the team Alpha X. He's made over $5,000 playing this game, not bad for someone who's remained in college. xKawaiian's SCV scout's gonna see the expansion at the natural and breathe a sigh of relief. Everything looks to be the standard Zerg timing that he knows, loves, and hates. He particularly hates it because there's still a million ways Zerg could go right now. In the meantime, Terran will start that Reaper up, and he's confident enough to build his own command center directly at his natural. If there's going to be another floodling, it's not coming anytime soon. Instead, he will now have to turn his attention to what can I do to stop that juggernaut Zerg economy. A Reaper rallied for the Zerg natural might be a way to start. xKawaiian also grabs his second gas, and now looks to finish the wall off at his main. Reaper out. We're on the map Simulacrum, which has a stairway which enables a Reaper to gain access to the main, turning Zerg's base from a single access point to a double. And speaking of Zerg, his spawning pool has started to vibrate like an expensive Japanese blender. That means the research for Zergling speed has begun. The first slowlings are out, and they're immediately going to attack the unbuildable plates. But once the Reaper appears, they realize they've got more important targets. Reapers kite slowlings for breakfast, but they just have to hold on until those queens pop out. The queen at the main has just arrived, and the natural queen is here as well. She delivers an instant inject, and then zones out that Reaper, guarding the front door to the natural. Meanwhile, the Lings move to cover off the secret stairway to the main. There's probably a stairway to heaven line there somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, but far more interesting, Zerg's going for lair. For those of you keeping score at home, that's a lair before a third base. Looking at a 2-base tech timing out of the Zerg. Mutas would be the most common possibility. xKawaiian executes the reactor switch, but he does it in a slightly different stylistically way. And he's going to start his starport up for that 1-1-1 build. A pair of Marines are going to patrol the main to keep out scouting overlords, while the factory starts up a pair of Hellions. Meanwhile, for the Zerg, Ling speed completes, and the lair is halfway done. Although Starkiller's teching hard, he's got no army, so he's been able to drone up heavily. That is a combo that's never good for the Terran player. xKawaiian's gonna send his Hellions over to do something about it. Because at this point, his Reapers provided 2 critical pieces of information. Zerg's not bothering to go for a third, and he's not putting a lot of attention on his creep spread. That should be some serious alarm bells. What the Reaper cannot see is a Spire going down at the natural. Starkiller's also grabbed both of his gases at his natural. He's gonna be stockpiling gas for those gas-intensive mutas. xKawaiian's got a medevac on the way, but he's also started an armory. He may be thinking vehicle weapons upgrade long-term, but more likely he's looking to transform his Hellions into Hellbats. That's gonna give him the firepower boost he needs to launch an offensive. Knowing his Spire's a long ways away, Starkiller is adding Lings, but they'll be quite limited against Hellbats. Meanwhile, xKawaiian's gonna add an additional 5 Marines, courtesy of his medevac. Starkiller's hoarding resources at this point, hoping for a huge round of mutas. Terran's got a window. He's gotta hit it just right. Starkiller senses his vulnerability. He starts up a spine crawler at his natural. xKawaiian needs to go now, but his armory's not done. He's going anyway. It's a critical Terran push. 10 Lings pounce. Backed by all 3 of Starkiller's queens. The Hellions transform into Hellbats. And the Lings evaporate. It's just the queens left to defend. The spine's only halfway done. The queens are forced to flee, but they might have done their job. The Spire completes. 7 mutas go into production, and they don't take long. 24 seconds, but who's counting? Zerg's down to his last queen, and Terran's flying over a Liberator. Somehow, there are 0 worker kills. The last queen goes down, and Zerg has no army on the field at all, but a ton in production. xKawaiian has the shortest of window to kill drones. He's getting to the wetworks. 4 drones fall, but the mutas have spawned like slimy avenging angels. Slave worms knife away at the vulnerable Hellions. Starkiller cleans up his main in seconds. This offensive is over. Terran needs to immediately change his focus to turrets or bunkers back home. He's only seconds away from a huge counter-offensive. It's 8 stacked Mutalisks on a single hotkey. It will be extremely difficult to target fire the wounded Mutalisks. xKawaiian's going for missile turrets. 1 at each mineral line, and then 2 to cover his production facilities. He's also training up a pair of Vikings. The Liberator's already lost. Zerglings are at the front door, but they can't do anything without the Mutalisks. Here comes the strike. The turrets are not done! It's a group hug on the turrets. Starkiller heads for the main, but spots the Vikings as they exit the starport. The mutas jump right on top of them, denying them the chance to use their superior range. The Ling support clears out the first missile turret, and Zerg has run of the Terran natural. GG! xKawaiian concedes the map and the series. Great game. Let me armchair this one. Remember though, not only do I have the bird's eye view of the game, I've also got hindsight bias. I'm not the player forced to make mind-bending decisions in real time. xKawaiian correctly identified you had to hit the Zerg before those mutas popped. But he also wanted to wait for his armory so he could bring Hellbats to bear. Tough decision. Every second you waste, the mutas get closer. Too early, and the push lacks the force to succeed in the first place. As it turned out, xKawaiian sort of got the worst of both worlds. He rolled up and then transformed, letting the Lings get too many licks in, and reduced his numbers before he could destroy them with his Hellbat fire. And if we're being super picky, Zerg put the entirety of his defense at his natural. Terran had a loaded medevac. Dropping those Marines at the main could have pulled the Zerg apart long enough for his Hellbats to transform. But that presupposes you have the APM at the ready to execute that perfectly. I wonder if the investment in a timely scan would have let xKawaiian better understand the layout of the Zerg defense. But I get it. Sometimes those whiff and you waste the energy better spent on mules. Anyways, I enjoyed an old school 2-base muta rush. It's supposed to be too risky these days, and so kudos on Starkiller for making it work. So remember, live life, because nobody wants to die and hold position.
To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Of course, you could always season upgrade and subscribe to Zugzang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.